If you look in the center, the the screen is moving, and that is causing a problem. This is the lumen of the esophagus. Okay. While not eating, the esophagus is in collapsed condition. Okay. Uh, so the innermost lining bounding the lumen is the epithelium. And you can see the epithelium is not simple epithelium, it's stratified epithelium. You must know the difference between stratified epithelium and simple epithelium. Simple epithelium is formed of only single file of cells, single layer of cells. And stratified meaning two or more layers are there. Okay? So here you see this stratified squamous epithelium, and the variety of stratified squamous epithelium non-keratinized, no dead cell layers. Like on epidermis, there is the stratum corneum that you already studied. That is stratified, keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Here it is non-keratinized. Now this magnification is a very low magnification, all right? And here, this is a part of the mucosa, is the lamina propria. You can see the submucosa, and here is muscularis, inner circular layer, outer longitudinal layer, and this is adventitia. There is no epithelium. So serosa is absent. Serosa is composed of epithelium and areolar connective tissue, but here only areolar connective tissue that forms adventitia. Okay? You can go all around. Here is the adventitia, longitudinal layer, circular layer. This is submucosa. Here is the muscularis mucosae, very faint. And this is epithelium, there is no doubt about that. And there may be some esophageal glands, the epithelium that secrete mucus. If you go to next higher magnification, you can see the epithelium more clearly, isn't it? And this is I might point with a pointer. Here we have seen microscope with a pointer with the eyepiece lens, and that pointer can point to any structure, and I can ask you identify as indicated. If I put on this, then you can say mucosal epithelium of esophagus. Here, lumen of esophagus. Do you get that? Mm-hmm. But if I want you to identify the adventitia, I have to show you the several features. Like here, if I ask you to identify the structure as indicated, this is adventitia. You can see the different components of the histology of the esophagus. Muscularis, this is longitudinal layer, circular layer. This is the submucosa, and here's this is the part of mucosa. And you know immediately that is the part of the GI tract where the epithelium is made of several layers of cells, stratified squamous. There are several places like pharynx, like anal region, and esophagus. But in esophagus, you have a point that esophagus does not have a serosa, it has adventitia. Do you get that? So you have to deduce, you have to do some kind of deduction. Do you get that? You have all the information, yeah? And then you have to apply your logic. Do you get that? I may ask you, name the organ. What is organ? Esophagus. You have several features of esophagus here. Okay? What is this? Lumen of esophagus, mucosal epithelium, or simply epithelium. If you wrote mucosal epithelium and we, I can tell you, I'm going to crack another joke. There is some different gradations of happiness, isn't it? Yeah? Comparative, superlative kind of thing, Then if you wrote, epithelium of mucosa, I'll be happy. If you wrote epithelium of esophagus, I'll be very happy. If you wrote mucosal epithelium of esophagus, I'll be damn happy. Yeah? All right. Esophagus under the belt. Okay, by the way, the lab before your lab test, on that last lab, there will be slideshow. Okay? You cannot beat it. Even Michael Jackson cannot. And interesting organ. Let me get a region where I can show you everything. Yes. So from inside to outside, from here to here is mucosa. This is submucosa. And from here up to the dark line represents the serosa. The dark line, can you see the dark line? And immediately below the dark line begins the muscularis. And remember, in stomach there is an additional layer. So the layer just next to submucosa is the oblique layer. This is oblique muscularis. This is from here to here circular muscularis, and from here to here longitudinal muscularis. Okay? Now, this is the lumen of the stomach. And stomach is a unique feature. These are called the gastric pits. You see? These are gastric pits, and these are gastric glands. Gastric glands are located in lamina propria. You look at the outermost of the mucosa. This is muscularis mucosae. This is made of smooth muscle cells. These are gastric glands. Gastric glands open into the gastric pit, and these are the openings of the gastric pit. So the gastric secretion will come into the lumen where there will be food, and the gastric secretions will be thoroughly mixed in the lumen for mechanical processing and chemical processing. Okay? And the activity, the motility of the stomach will depend on the activities of the muscularis here, and also activities of the muscularis mucosae. Can you see this nodule, dark? Can you see that? That's the mucosa-associated lymphatic tissue, or you can call it lymphatic nodule. So MALT, mucosa-associated lymphatic tissue, is a lymphatic nodule. Okay? You can identify either that as MALT or lymphatic nodule. Both would be correct. All right. I'll take you to the serosa, and you see the dark line, but you will see I bet you'll see the cells of the simple epithelium, simple squamous epithelium. Those are flat cells. So let me magnify. This is a little bit higher magnification, and you can see the nucleus or nuclei of the flat cells. Those darkly stained, can you see? And even you will see better under even higher magnification. There you go. It's highly magnified. It's about 800 or more times magnified, these cells. You can see the nucleus. Very thin areolar connective tissue, and these are the smooth muscle cells of the longitudinal layer. But I don't have to come to this magnification. Why it's called longitudinal? Because of the orientation of the muscle cells, longitudinal. And why this? Look at that. This is circular. Can you see how the cells are arranged? These are the smooth muscle cells, spindle shaped. These cells are oriented circularly. Do you get that? So when you make a section, the longitudinal cells will be cut like this, as if you're looking from top, like as it appears right here. You see the nuclei of the longitudinal cells. You can hardly see the cells. You see the nuclei because you're looking from top. Okay? Okay, I have to go back to lower magnification to show you other features in this, because there are stomach tissues from 3 different regions. Now I'm going to go and explain the gastric pits. There you go. This is the opening of the gastric pit. Gastric pit, if you follow the gastric pit, it ends up in gastric gland. These are gastric glands, okay? Because this is a cross section, so the glands have been cut. They appear circular. This is gastric pit. So is this. So if you make a section, it will appear like this. This is the lumen of the stomach. Okay? If there is a pointer, identify the structure or the feature, gastric pit.
Which part did you say would be the lumen when you go lower down into it?
This is the gastric gland. Gastric pit is from here to here.
And then you said.
And this is the opening of the gastric pit. Okay? In the lecture, I will show you the scanning electron micrograph to look at the surface anatomy of the cell, and you will be able to look at those openings of the gastric pits, surrounded by surface mucous cells, because there are at least 4 different kinds of exocrine cells and 1 kind of endocrine cell that form the gastric gland. And you have all these pictures, from on page. What are those pages? Gastric gland.
It's 902, 903, 904.
That page.
This
page.
one?
Yeah,
904.
904. If you look at 904, you can see individual gastric gland and the different cells. 4.
I didn't get that.
Oh, what are you doing?
Nothing.
Hey, look, I do have a cell phone, but
I
it's,
didn't
it's on,
touch it. I didn't do
it's on
anything.
silent mode, okay? Or vibration mode, please. And by the way, emergency, like, if you must take a call, just excuse yourself and go outside, please, okay? And I will take you to a different region of different part of stomach where the gastric glands are at their prime, You can see the different cells, and we're going to identify two different types of cells. Okay, before that, I'd like to give you some information, and I can ask you physiology questions, okay? Oh, I didn't tell you about something, and we didn't do that in the lecture. Since the lecture and lab time is over 2 hours, at a suitable juncture, we'll take a short break. Yeah? Short break meaning, it should not be more than 7 minutes and 19 seconds, something like that. Yeah? One of the cells that you need to identify is a parietal cell secretes hydrochloric acid, and another substance called intrinsic factor. It's a chemical substance that is absolutely essential for the absorption of vitamin B12 in the small intestine, called intrinsic factor. Parietal cell. Another cell is called chief. Chief cells, another one cell, secretes two enzymes. One inactive secretes pepsinogen, and gastric lipase. Gastric lipase is a lipolytic enzyme, and pepsinogen is inactive. It must be activated, and pepsinogen is activated to pepsin. This is active form. It breaks the protein, large protein molecules, into small peptides like dipeptides. And pepsinogen is activated first by hydrochloric acid, and when some pepsin forms, plus this pepsin then activates, or the activation is accelerated by pepsin. This is class. This pepsin. First pepsinogen is converted to pepsin by hydrochloric acid, and while this is going on, this pepsin again in turn activates more rapidly pepsinogen to pepsin. So these two cells, parietal cell and chief cell, you need to identify. Okay? Already 1 hour already in the class. Let me think. Do you know what is that? There's a piece of garbage.
I was gonna say it looks like a lizard.
Lizard. A mini microscopic lizard. Huh?
Yeah.
Here we have, these are all gastric glands, and when I magnify, when I go to higher magnification, then you can see the cells pretty clearly. We go to the best region, best part. Okay. Next magnification. There you go. Fantastic. Yeah. And let me play with the light a little bit. Do you see the pink cells? Large pink cells, these are parietal cells. These are the guys that secrete hydrochloric acid and intrinsic factor. And also you see some small purple cells. These are the cheap cells. These are cheap cells. Here is a cheap cell. This is a parietal cell. Okay, you get that?
So the chief cells are sort of squished in between the
Yeah,
parietal cells?
yeah. They're also, they're squished in. You can see some cheap cells here. But these are parietal cells. Like here is cheap cell. You can see. Cheap cell. These are parietal cells. Parietal cells are unique. You can see that the cytoplasm is pink or looks a little dull red. Yeah? So I may ask, I can ask several questions. Identify the cell as indicated by the pointer. What will be your answer? Parietal cell. What is the function of the cell as indicated by a pointer? Secretes hydrochloric acid and intrinsic factor. Okay? Okay. Now, about chief cell, identify the cell, or what is the name of the cell? Chief cell. Okay? What is the function of the cell as indicated by a pointer? Secretes pepsinogen and gastric lipase. Okay? Or I may, if my mood is not good, I might ask you, does the secretion of, or does the enzyme of the cell have anything to do with the breakdown of carbohydrate? Yes or no? No. Carbohydrate splitting enzyme is not secreted in the stomach. Pepsinogen, when it becomes pepsin, it acts on protein. Gastric lipase acts on lipid. No carbohydrate splitting. But anyway, probably I will not ask, because in summer my mood is good. Okay? So we're done with histology of stomach. And with this, we take our first break. How about that? I used to use this in German because what is written in German, it's pronounced. U is always U. A is always A. E is always A. And O is always O. But they have this thing, you know, umlaut, umlaut. Means change, laut means sound, change of sound. O changes to and U umlaut here. U changes to But anyway, those are some tricks I had to learn, you know. There are 3 regions. You can pronounce this like duodenum or duodenum. Yeah, some people prefer to like water, or do you want water? Yeah, like if you fly British Airways, do you like to drink some water? Yeah. Jejunum and ileum. Do you know there is another ileum like L-I-U-M? This is also pronounced as ileum. This is a bone. This is small intestine. So in biology, spelling matters, you know. So if there is spelling mistake, some points will be off. And especially in your case, because you'll be having note cards, you'll be having the word bands, and still if you have spelling mistakes, then just, you know, imagine if I gave you full credit for that, then it would be injustice. All right, now, to differentiate these 3 different anatomical parts, though they form these parts of small intestine, but they can be distinguished histologically by focusing on a particular feature, that is the submucosa. You get that? So what you have to focus on submucosa. If you see, glands in the submucosa, these glands are called Brunner's glands, and definitely it is duodenum. If you see lymphatic nodules, and these lymphatic nodules are called Peyer's patches. Then definitely this is ileum. Okay? And when you do not find any no glands and no lymphatic